All right, cool. Today we got Kolton Mitchell from Lake City. He's a basketball player, very good basketball player. Um, what are you? Ranked second for?
Yeah, second for the class of 2023. And then our team's ranked first in the state.
Okay, gotcha. Right on.
Yep.
Is there a national ranking on that? I saw something where you guys are like,
For our team?
yeah.
Yeah, we're 28th in the country right now.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I did say top 30, didn't I? Yeah, something like that. But yeah, very impressive, very cool to have something like that in North Idaho. Being we're a smaller community. I don't know. I guess I just wanted to talk today about like, what's your mentality? What got you to this level? I guess.
Yeah, for me, I think it's just my discipline. I think a lot of people just go off motivation, but I think that comes and goes. And I think discipline is like the main thing for me. Even when I was in elementary school, I had a dream to, want to play college basketball, want to be the best version of myself I could be. And so just staying disciplined through that, working out every day, training all the time, working hard, that's what got me to where I am today.
Yeah. I guess it just comes down to anybody who's successful. That's about what they say. It's just discipline. And that's what I've picked up off of you since, we trained for a little while together.
Yeah.
The one thing that I noticed big was that you were very realistic. No matter how good you are, you're humble and realistic about your goals and know that you don't need to assume that you're going to be the greatest or assume that you're going to be Division I. Also committed to a D1 college, right?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Idaho State.
Yeah. Awesome. But what I noticed was that you tunnel visioned, like you had a goal and that's what you're going to go after. Nothing else could disrupt that. So it's pretty dang cool to see in somebody.
Yeah.
Well, so you said how old when you wanted to be? You're like knew you wanted to be professional. Like that's
I'd say really about 5th grade is when I wanted to really start taking basketball serious.
So did you like watch basketball on the TV and you're like, that's what I want to do? Or like do a camp and you're like, oh, this is awesome. Like,
yeah.
How did that come about? Like,
I think it's really where I started to think I can be good at this. 5th grade is when I started picking it up more. I started working a little harder. So I started getting a little better. And then when I start, feeling like I'm getting better, that motivates me a lot.
Yeah.
Feeling like, I can be better than all these guys.
Right. Cause you see you're like, okay, like I'm starting to like,
this could maybe be a thing for me.
Exactly.
So that's kind of where it started.
So like, was there any like love or passion for the sport as you were growing up before that,
Yeah. I always was like dribbling. My sister's a big volleyball player.
Okay.
So my mom's a volleyball coach. So I was always in the gym, not necessarily playing volleyball, but I was always dribbling a volleyball.
Yeah.
Always something with basketball.
Right. Yeah.
So I was always doing something with that.
I don't know. So I kind of have that. Well, I'm not playing hockey anymore, but I grew up in a household of hockey, started doing roller hockey and, all these things. And then I realized that doing better than most of these people, started getting contacted for teams and stuff like that. So growing up into it and, getting to this level where, for example, I started trying out for a juniors team at age 16, which is college kind of, realm, I guess. I don't know what it's compared to with basketball. I will say I'm more of just a hockey in general kind of guy. So there's going to be a lot of things that you guys are going to talk about that I'm not quite sure about with basketball. So if I sound dumb, I'm like, I don't know. But there was a point where I was 16, I was trying out for a juniors team. And that was kind of my tipping point where I realized I was like, it was almost too much, too fast. So where you are now, D1 committed. Congrats, by the way. That's awesome. With that discipline, how are you staying on top of, your discipline? Because, discipline is discipline, but your discipline can start to fall and things, get real. You're still passionate for the sport, but, then there's the D1 college. There's, I'm sure, the press stuff that goes with it. There's all these different aspects, beyond being on the court, doing all these things. How is that kind of playing into, I guess, your mental game?
Yeah. Almost like this is good enough now.
Yeah. Well, I mean that, but then you're entering a whole different realm of just, talent for one.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously you're great at what you do. You wouldn't be in a position you are if you weren't. But there's the added stress of now there's going to be more fans at the game. There's more eyes on you, especially being more of a top prospect in a D1 school. Like, oh, we got this kid coming up, like pressure. Right?
Yeah.
So there's off the court, on the court, like all these different things that come into it. Like, how is that? I guess there's a different type of discipline that you need for on the court, off the court. I know I'm kind of just running in a weird circle here, but I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. I think what he's saying is like, that, so when I was talking about tunnel vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that within your tunnel vision? Is that extra added pressure on you? Do you think about those things and whatnot?
Yeah. I think last year I struggled with it, dealing with like the expectations and stuff. Once I started to get a D1 offer, people started expecting every game, you got to be scoring this many points. Your team's got to be winning by this much, especially because we got other D1 commits on our team. So dealing with those expectations, I struggled with, I think at the start of it. That's why our team didn't do real good when it came into the hot, down at state, when the expectations were high, we didn't play our best.
Right. Yeah. Because you guys were supposed to take it.
Yeah. We lost one game going into state. We were the 1 seed and we ended up losing to the 8 seed, getting upset by a team that was 500. So, you can get beaten anytime, and our coach tells us that all the time. So dealing with those expectations are tough. But I think this summer and losing that game really motivated me to get a lot better and to deal with that stuff, start getting more of that tunnel vision and get more confident in myself, because I think confidence really comes with, you're going to play better if you're confident.
Right.
So this year, and we got a lot more people at our games this year, a lot more expectations this year. I think a big thing is social media too.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
plays a huge factor.
That.
Always going back to
everyone's posting about our team and stuff, saying you got to watch these guys.
Yeah.
Seeing that, it's awesome. I mean, I love seeing that, love getting those things, but it's also hard at the same time. Hearing from our classmates, you guys only won by 25 yesterday. It's like,
the high school.
Yeah.
But
it comes back to, so like last week, I don't know if you watched the podcast, but we talked about performance anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So that would go in that line, and we kind of talked about how to mitigate that. So for you, how do you deal with it?
I think it's just being prepared for every game.
Yeah.
Knowing I put in the work, knowing I can shine on this stage and stuff. And knowing that the guys next to me got my back too.
Taking those expectations from here to
lowering
I got
it.
this.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I'm still passionate about the game. I still play for
I'm playing for myself.
For yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good way to put it. I know as a kid growing up, I was just naturally good at sports, whatever I did. But when it did come to expectations, like, oh, now you're playing for a team. Oh, now you're the star. Then all of a sudden, like, that would crush me every time until I decided, like, this is my game. This is for me. I'm here having fun. This is just life. It's not for anybody else. I don't care what they expect. I'm just going to play my game. So yeah, I think you've figured that out over this last year.
Yeah. And I think another, mindset that I have is at the end of the day, it's just a basketball game. You know, if I do terrible, I'm still going home. I still got a family that love me.
Priorities.
Yeah.
And basketball's not going to be with me forever. So I'll have a life after that. So it's like that goes into it too. It's just a small part of my life that
I picked that up off of you probably maybe in our first or second session, to be honest, where like I knew you had it figured out in your head. You had your priorities straight. You knew what life was all about. And when I asked you, like, what college do you want to go to, or what's your expectation there, you just said, whatever comes my way, it comes my way.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, oh, I'm going D1, I'm going to do this, I'm playing for wherever,
Yeah.
And I appreciated that about you, because at the end of the day, family first, right?
Yeah. All the time.
Yeah.
I'm curious. So a lot of younger people, especially in high school, this was me too. You have to put in that extra work when not just practices, you have to be able to be doing extra stuff. And that requires a lot of discipline. So was there like someone, because when we're younger, our parents tell us, hey, you need to like put your all into this, put in extra work. And when you're a kid, you don't listen. Like you don't want to listen to that. So I'm curious, did you always have discipline, or is it something that maybe you had a coach or like your parents or someone that was constantly telling you like, hey, I see this in you, you need to be putting in extra work? Was it that type of thing? Or did you always kind of have like more discipline than, so I'm sure you've noticed around like a lot of like kids your age and around your team, like you do a lot more than some of them. And was that just like a natural thing, or is it something that people kept telling you like, hey dude, you need to keep doing this because you'll get, like, you have the potential?
Yeah. I think it came a little natural, but at the same time, my parents were always pushing me.
Were they?
Yeah.
See, and you listened to them probably, because that's a rare thing, dude. When you're in high school, you're like, yeah, whatever. Like you got, so that's rare, dude, that you like listened and actually implemented it.
Yeah. And, my sister plays Division I volleyball at Grand Canyon. So, knowing how much work she put in to go play there, it rubbed off a lot on me. And then my mom being able to talk about it, how much work she put in, because she was one of her coaches all the way through. So, that goes into it. It came natural a little bit, but I would say my parents really did push me for that.
Yeah. I feel like a big part of that is if they had done it, like your mom had done that herself. So she had that experience to like tell you, hey, you can do this. That's when we talk about like being the best parent you can, like getting the best physique you can, or working out, or doing whatever, becoming the best you can. Cause your kids are like if she wouldn't have had that experience, it might not have been as effective if she would like talk to you about that. Like, hey, you can do this. Like I've done it. So I feel like that's huge.
Yeah. And I think it's a big part. Like they weren't like fully pushing on me. They were just telling me, if you truly want to do this, then you have to go get it. Yeah. That's it's not just going to come.
Yeah. So it's, dude, high school. I'm just thinking about when I was in high school. It wasn't that long ago. Like you do not want to listen to your parents, or most kids do not listen to them when they give them that advice. Like if I would have listened to what my parents told me, because I played basketball too from the second grade up until I was a senior, and hunting and stuff I kind of started gravitating more towards that. But if I would have listened to them, I don't even want to think about it, because basketball was always the thing that I was more naturally talented at. And I noticed it early on too, but I just never put in that extra work because I didn't build that discipline. If I would have listened to my parents, I might have gone a lot further than I was. But just one of those things that I feel like that's super rare for kids, like younger kids, to listen to that and implement it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Not even younger, like my age, still, like older people still don't listen to people. It's just the thing that you have to build.
You know everything.
Yeah.
I'm an adult now.
Exactly.
I know everything. But yeah, so that was the difference between maybe you guys and me growing up. My parents, I love them to death, but they were kind of like the black sheep of their family. So I didn't have like a lot to go off of, but I did know that I used sports as an outlet. So like, when I would be in a tough situation, I'd go outside and hit a baseball for hours, just hitting the baseball for hours or pitching it. Okay. So that was kind of a first initial step into discipline, because I started seeing like, man, I'm hitting a lot further than I was yesterday, or I'm hitting a lot further than I was. Like I was getting closer and closer to the highway. And that was kind of like, okay, work pays off. That was my first initial kind of discipline thing. And then from there, it was like coaches, they would teach me like you're good, but I don't think you understand like how much you have to put in. Because my parents were not punctual. They were not they didn't stick to one thing. They're kind of floaters. So I had to learn then punctuality and I guess organization on top of that discipline. So circling back to kind of like what strength through movement is like having the athletic ability and the potential to do something and teach others discipline like you learned through your parents to kids or people who don't have that example. You know what I mean? So, as you grow through your sport, is that something that you might think down the road? Have you thought about that, like coaching or giving back?
Yeah, I've thought about coaching a lot. I think, I don't know how I'll be, when I stop playing basketball, am I going to be like tired of it, or am I going to want to keep going, try and give back, try and come back here, maybe coach. I don't know. I've thought a little bit about it, but I'm kind of just living in the moment right now.
Yeah. The other thing that I appreciated about you is like being in the moment, because you can't tell. And that was one thing you said to me. I I don't know what's going to happen next year.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have an injury, and you can't put your life expectations on a sport because of that. You could have an injury, something could happen, but so you have to be kind of in the moment and have a plan, I guess. Oh yeah.
So you're a senior?
Yep.
Are you 18 yet?
Yeah, I'm 18.
Okay. So I'm just curious. High school is like a weird dynamic. Like you probably know, and especially since you're like one of the top people on your team.
Tell him, Danny. What did you do in high school? Just kidding.
I will say I was the first one in my entire school out of guys and girls to have the very first pair of those Toms, those shoes. You're welcome.
I think the direction he was going.
California.
Oh yeah.
I was a skater kid.
Come on. Yeah. So for me, like my high school was bad. I had 180, and that was a big class. 180 kids in my class in a small town. I think 160 of them had MIPs, which is minor in possession.
Yeah.
I was one that did not. Thank
Nice.
God.
Good job.
I did not do that. I was too focused. Probably much like you. So where he's going, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, dude, in school like that, especially when you're one of the top kids on the team, there's a lot of talk and stuff I'm sure you like have to deal with in class and like people. I'm curious how you like deal with that, because high school is just, a ton of like rumors, all this crap and I feel like being an athlete like you and trying to get to the top of your game, you have to be able to tune that out and just not care. And for high schools, that's a really hard to do for kids to like just tune that out and not listen to it. So how have you been able, you feel like you're good at that, or is it something that's still kind of,
I mean,
high school,
it's
dude.
hard.
I mean, yeah.
It's I think it's super hard.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Hearing stuff, people just make stuff up about you. They just be talking trash about you. And you're just like, and my coach is telling me this all the time, you just can't do anything, especially like, even like on the court, someone goes up to you, does anything, you can't do it. You can't fight back. You can't do anything.
Oh, it's the hardest point too, because your blood pressure's through the roof. You're playing a sport. You're
your passion for it. You just want to,
yeah.
And it's hard dealing with it. I just try to ignore it as much as I can, and especially social media stuff. Like
that's where it's even worse.
you get DMs all the time. You
just got to ignore them.
you just can't respond to them. Can't do anything like that. Last year when we lost our first game, there's probably 20 people saying all this stuff when we lost state. Everyone's texting us. Yeah. Everyone's doing all this stuff. And it's just
see, and my class, I graduated with 55 people, I think. So our whole school had like 400 people. I'm from St. Mary's. So you guys just played. We do. Yeah, we won't talk about it. But it was so bad there. I can't imagine.
It was 70 to 25.
Yeah, dude,
70-23.
Yeah. probably.
Actually, I actually got this kid who's a freshman that I train, and he hit a 3 ball.
He had 2.
Two of them.
Yeah.
Jake
did?
You
guys he had 2.
You guys were probably being nice. It probably could have been. But anyways, like I just remember how bad it was there. And that was 400 kids in our whole school. So I can't imagine. I don't know how many kids are in your school.
I think we got 1,600.
Yeah. So multiply that times. I can't even imagine, dude, I can't even imagine what it'd be like in that dynamic of people.
And I mean, I'm sure there's kind of a way of, say even on the court, it's like you hear something and you can put that into like, oh, I'm gonna sink this just to spite you, right?
Yeah.
Like you can put that in there and do that. And there's also the level of just, let it go past, ignore it, right? But there's also, I'm sure, those things that hit a little bit deeper that are harder to put that towards like, oh, I'm gonna, sink this 3 or put that energy into kind of like, I'll show you like, what's up? How do you kind of deal with those that kind of stick a little bit, deeper and longer, right? I mean, do you just hit the court by yourself with some tunes or no tunes and just do stuff, gym, like those ones that kind of stick harder?
Yeah.
What do you kind of do with that? Because it's hard to ignore.
Yeah. I think the stuff that would stick with me the most is like when I'm out on the court and like say like at halftime I'm warming up. I go back out there and warming up in front of the other team student section and they're just ripping into us, right?
Oh.
They're just nonstop saying stuff, saying stuff about my family, saying personal stuff, and I'm just, I might give them a little side eye, like you wouldn't say this if we were actually talking right now.
No.
Like
just like behind a screen, dude.
Yeah.
Someone can say a lot behind a screen.
Yeah. So then I just ignore it. I mean, if I'm being honest, my freshman, sophomore year, I played varsity then, and our league was good. You know, Post Falls was super good, and they were ruthless to me. I was I was 125 pound freshman, you know, 5'8", playing varsity, and they didn't let me go, man. So like that, honestly, that trained me a lot for, you know, my junior and senior year. Just dealing with it, it's a lot easier now. I don't get close to as much as I did as a freshman or a sophomore. So I'd say now it's pretty light now.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like you're just saying, that kind of trained you to that mental toughness. So, you know, as you keep going, you're just whatever. Like,
yeah. I've heard worse is what I normally go
exactly,
for.
right?
Yeah.
So it's okay.
Well,
so,
that's
it's easy
dude. When
for
you
to
watch
just-
like the greats too, like the greatest people in my college, like Michael Jordan to me is undoubtedly like probably one of the best basketball players that's ever lived.
Yeah.
And when you watch like clips of him when he played, you could tell when he'd get pissed off, dude. And the greatest sport or players in history, dude, they can channel that into just showing it like through their skills and on the court. And that's, to me, just watching, that's like the best thing someone can do. I get, because I was super small in high school. I graduated like 130, 132 pounds, and I was like same height I am now. So I was just a rail. And dude, for some reason in high school, I got a lot of hate from people because that's when I started, like I would start posting stuff on social media, and that's when it was kind of like a new thing. So I got a lot of flack for that specifically.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Yeah, dude, I feel like just being able, it's so hard to be able to channel that and then just show it with your results of how you're playing or how that's the best thing to do. But it's also the discipline thing, which you've been able to build more of that than other people. Because most people couldn't deal with it like that. They'd start a fight or they'd start saying stuff back or something.
Well, that's kind of, I can relate in sort of a way when I played hockey. I mean, obviously in hockey, you can full on like,
you can take it out.
So like a little different. I mean, I see a lot more now in basketball with, you know, contact and such. Again, I'm not too in depth with knowledge of the sport. But when I would get like pissed off, I would just, not being stupid, but I would just go out and be out for blood. I would just go and try and demolish, like, oh, the kid's in the corner. No, not dirty, you know, but
maybe a little bit. But
well, yeah. So there's a thing called a slew foot, where you put your foot behind them, you kick the skate. So like your hand or shoulder or whatever is up here, and you push that way as your foot kicks it that way. So it's very 2-minute penalty immediately. So that was the only like dirty thing I liked doing, because I was really good at getting away with it. I'd like do it, almost try and make it look like an accident. Yeah.
There's even those guys in basketball that are good at like when you're down at the post, are good at like just messing around with you without letting the ref see it. There's ways in basketball too to get.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, there is.
But I would just be out for blood because I was so just pissed off, and like I need to go out there and just destroy someone or several people. I mean, a shift is like, you're supposed to be out there for like 10 to 30 seconds, 30 seconds being on the long side. So you got that amount of time to just boil your blood and go, right? But it was, you know, almost just the eyes went red. And that was it. Like the rest of the game kind of just, unless I scored a goal. Like I wasn't a huge goal scorer, but I was, you know, I was just really fast and stuff. But, you know, the eyes, you know, went red, and that's all I could see. And that was my game. I would get penalties all the time because, I mean, maybe not on purpose, but maybe it was a hit that they didn't like or something. And that would obviously cause my team to struggle because now I'm in the box for 2. So like going with the comments you hear and stuff like this, that might get you under your skin, that you can't put that energy into doing like, you know, I'm going to go sink this and stuff like that. Like, obviously it goes back to the discipline you've already been saying, but like going a little further into the discipline, controlling that and not letting yourself get like your blood boiling and go and cause a foul, you know, or get yourself, I guess, ejected, right?
Yeah.
I know it's always the discipline, but like it goes a little bit deeper. Is there something you kind of breathing?
Yeah.
Do you have something in your head that you think of, like, I don't know, your family or the bigger picture? Like I said, the breathing techniques, like, nowadays, like,
yeah. Is there like a routine or something that you do every time?
Yeah.
Do you like slap your thigh? I don't know.
Yeah,
right?
something, yeah.
I don't think I necessarily have a routine, but I'll definitely take a couple deep breaths. Maybe I'll slow the game down a little bit. Take a couple. Walk the ball up. Look around, take a deep breath, and then just realize I got better things ahead. Too. That's what I think about
Just
a lot.
simple,
I think
like basic, yeah.
Yeah, just I get to keep playing basketball and stuff, and I can get my college paid for, and the person talking to me.
Yeah, that's you have that also in your head, like, I have the talent. I'm here right now. I'm having a great time playing the sport that I love. Yeah, Joe Schmo is talking smack. He's just watching. Having popcorn or some stupid sugary beverage. Like Chris's drink down there. But yeah, you have that. You're like, oh, I'm gonna college.
Yeah,
I'm going to D1 school. So you have that in your head too.
Yeah,
deep breaths, kind of taking it back to the fundamentals of just like, I'm gonna walk it up there. No need to put crazy pressure.
Yeah,
go do something stupid. So it's like you just think of all that stuff, kind of like not on purpose, but it just kind of pops in your head. You're like, oh, okay.
I'd say I also kind of think like I kind of like will laugh it off a little bit. I might tell my teammates what he said, and then we'll both kind of laugh about it.
Right, sense of humor.
Rag on that guy over there.
Yeah.
So you kind of got like, I know your teammates go through the same thing. So you got somebody to be like, to rely on, like, oh yeah, dude, it's getting to me. But oh my gosh, did you hear what he said?
Yeah,
type of deal. Oh, do we want to pause for a second?
No, you keep going.
Okay. But yeah. So when did you find yourself be able to? We'll call it. I watched this movie called For Love of the Game. Kevin Costner. He like every time somebody's screaming in the crowd, he says, "Clear the mechanism." Mm-hmm. When were you able to clear the mechanism? When did you notice that, or when did you have to do that for the first time? Do you remember specifically?
See, I would say my freshman year, but I don't think I was ever able to do that.
Not then. Yeah. That kind of a recent thing.
What do you mean recent?
Or like being able to like
that I was able to do that.
Out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's not important.
I think it was pretty recent. I'd say it might even be this year.
This year?
Honestly. Last year, I think it definitely got to me a lot more.
Yeah.
And this year I'd say I play a lot more confident. I'm a lot more confident in our team as well. Mm-hmm. And I think that goes a long ways. Mm-hmm. Knowing that the guys next to me, are going through the same stuff.
Yeah.
We're all going through it. We're doing this as one. Mm-hmm. We're all a family. So it's like, I ain't got to worry about myself. I got to worry about the team. And I think about that a lot.
Yeah. And that's hard to develop too. I think I've developed that through the crowd as well. You get to a certain level where people like attention, they're like, holy cow, look at this guy. He's doing something really cool. That's impressive. And then it just starts snowballing into where you're at now. And you have to deal with those outside pressures, which is one that pulls away from the passion of the game, right? Like, gosh, this is freaking worth it. I just want to go outside and play on a court with nobody watching, with the boys, versus this, being able to block that out and bring it back down to that level. I guess, do you know that that's coming even more as far as college goes?
Yeah. I mean, right now we got a lot of people at our games and stuff, but I know going into college is going to be like that. And that's also just the growth of going into college, growing up, being able to play in games like that, and also just getting a lot better myself.
Yeah.
Knowing I can compete against guys like that, which is going to be a process.
Yeah.
Going down there, I think it's going to be a great reality check for me, going down, playing against those college guys. And then knowing, especially about like my body and stuff, knowing how much work I got to put in.
Oh yeah.
Stuff. So it's gonna be fun, but it won't be fun at the same time. Right. So
yep. I think this is a good breakaway point for that. I was going to talk to you about, because I got a ton of athletes, and a lot of them like really like Jacob Hill, who played in your guys' game the other day as a freshman, which is really good. Good job, dude. Yeah. I'm proud of that kid. He works his butt off.
Yeah.
But him and along with the same group of kids, they do. And I see it in them. They don't say it out loud, but I see it in them that like practice and training and practice is kind of wearing down on them.
Yeah.
What do you do in that scenario? Because I know you didn't have a trainer, but you trained at that level.
Yeah.
I know that you put in that amount of work. Is that something that you have to have within your soul and that some people just don't have? Or is it something that you develop?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think especially at their age right now, as a freshman and stuff, I think this is where it's really going to show if you have the true passion for the game or not. You know, maybe you take a couple of days off, you don't train as hard. You know, maybe you just go a little for maybe a week or so. And then you're going to find out at the end of the week, what am I doing? You know, I want to keep training. I want to keep doing all this stuff. I think I've had a couple of those. Sometimes I'm like, I don't feel motivated at all right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe I'll take 1 day off, 2 days off, and then I'm like, why did I do that?
And that discipline kicks in.
Like I need to get back in the gym right now.
Yep.
And so like maybe taking a little bit off, and then you're going to find out how passionate you are for the sport, how much you want this, how successful you want to be.
Yeah, you have to come to a crossroad where it's like a decision, like, do I really want to do this?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, has that, like, in all honesty, like everybody outside looking in sees you and they're like, oh man, this guy's so disciplined. He loves the sport.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nonstop love and high and everything's good all the time. That's what they see.
Mm-hmm.
But how many times have you come along that crossroad of like, is this worth it? Do I want to do this?
I'd say I really had it twice.
Yeah.
That I think I truly had a moment like that where I stopped and thought to myself about that. I'd say the first time was after the state tournament last year.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, man, I'm not putting in enough work. I'm not doing anything, you know. And then after that, I just started working, you know, so hard. And then the last time was probably around July this year.
Yeah.
You know, I was getting recruited, but I wasn't getting as much as I wanted. You know, I thought I was going to get a lot more recruitment than I did, if I'm being honest. You know, a lot of other people did, but a lot of coaches thought I was too small. You know, wasn't going to be able to play at the college level. My game wasn't going to translate. So that hurt.
Yeah, that's kind of why you were motivated to like, hey, dude, I need to put on some weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, those coaches telling you that, you know, it sucks. I mean, it's one of the most stressful things is the recruiting process. It's fun, but at the same time, it sucks.
Yeah.
You know, when a coach starts first talking to you, you get super excited. You're like, oh, this could be great. And then, you know, you might not have your best game in front of them and then they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
In that process, so like with other kids that are going to go through that, what could have you done better? Like, does it matter where I land as long as I'm playing college ball, or like I need to look for the highest level possible?
No, definitely do not look for the highest level possible, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's all about the coach. You know, the right coach will find you. It only takes one coach who truly believes in you. And, you know, he's going to give you every opportunity you can. But I think your job is to really open up all the opportunities you can and then select down from there. You know, never take a school out. Don't think you're too high for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And always try and sell yourself. You know, for me, I think I didn't do the best job I could. I think I did pretty good, but, you know, looking back now, I was like, I could have texted that coach a little more. I could have called him, told him I really want to go to their school.
Yeah, if the door opens, definitely look into it.
Yeah. I could have sent out more film. I could have, you know, but I feel like that's kind of with everything though.
Yeah, you're always look back and say, well, I could have did this and that better. Yeah. But ultimately, with the stress of it, to lower that, to mitigate that, would you say just like accept what is?
Yeah.
And just do the best you can in that moment? Yeah,
just do the best for you and don't compare yourself to others.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest thing. I mean, if I compared myself to our big man at Lake City, I'd feel like a terrible person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's top 65 in the country and, you know, he's doing great for himself, but I got to worry about myself too.
Yeah, you're you.
Yeah.
He's 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
I don't know how to lace.
Yeah. No, but just worry about yourself and do everything you can for yourself, you know.
And just jumping back, I want to jump back real quick because I feel like I'm just thinking on this. It's like grinding at me. This is like a huge thing for everyone. And for you going to college, you're 100% going to deal with more hate. Like I guarantee it. You're going to have more people chirping at you from the stands and everything. And I feel like, dude, the best way it could be in business. If you do social media, sports, the best way to get back at people and shove it in their face is to get the results. dude, if you go out there and drop 20 on them, it's undeniable. Like, dude, that's going to show them like, dude, I don't care what you have to say. And the only reason people hate on you or say stuff, they're insecure about something that's going on in their life, or they're jealous of what you're doing. And dude, the absolute best way is just to channel that and just show the results. Go out there, dude, drop 20 on them, cross them up, like get them, dude, that's the best way. And I feel like it's hard for a lot of people to like drown out the noise and just stay focused. And dude, I'd feel good to like punch someone in the face, dude, but it's a lot better to have, dude, to just go out there. The same with building a business. Like, you're always going to have people talking crap until you reach that point where it's like,
well, that's gonna fail.
Well, yeah. And then, dude, you're going to get to the point where if, you're doing amazing in college and then you go even further than that, people are like, then they're going to try to be your friend and they're going to be like, oh, dude, I always believed in you. So you reach a point when you get to that success that now those people turn and they're like, always been there for you, man. I've always been there.
Yeah, exactly.
You
probably get that already.
Dude, it's just, it's just drowning out, I feel like. And it's super hard and everything. That stuff, dude, even the pros, the best of the best, that stuff, I guarantee you still gets to them to a level, but they know how to turn it into results that they're looking for. And I feel like that's the biggest thing, is just being able to like flip that from, oh, this is one of those things, this is happening to me and this is happening for me. The best way
to put that is, it took me forever to figure this out. And I would say a lot of people don't figure it out, but you and I could be looking at the same thing and seeing the same thing, but we see something completely different. Mm-hmm. Perception, right? Like, everybody's got their own movie. Everybody's got their own perception on things. So you look at it from a fan standpoint, that's one perception. You look at it from Kolton's standpoint, that's one perception. You look at it from the coach's standpoint, that's one perception. Mom's standpoint, one perception. All completely different views and completely different thought processes. So the only thing you can do is say, that's interesting.
Yeah.
If somebody's like, you're a piece of crap, you do this and that because you don't talk to people and you're, like fans that do that. That's interesting.
Sorry you feel that way.
Yeah. Sorry you have that perception. That's not how I intended.
And here's the hard thing. When someone says, so to get back, or like to show people, to prove them wrong, to get results is more of a long game. When someone says something to you, you want to do something right away to get back in them.
Oh yeah.
But especially business, sports too, it's a long game to getting to that result, to be like, yeah, you were wrong. Screw off, dude. Like, you guys don't know what you're talking about.
From a basketball standpoint, they see you at the game.
Yeah.
They don't see that you put 20 hours of extra work on top of practice into that sport. So Mr. 5'8", 125 pounds actually worked his butt off. So he figured out a way to beat you. Sorry.
Well, dude, and already the results speak for themselves. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
D1 school, one of the top, like, it's already speaking for itself, dude. There's always going to be, though. I feel like you have to accept the fact, whether you're trying to get to the top of anything, you're always going to have that. It's just being able to deal with it better and better. Yeah. So that's something I just feel like, and that you're probably always going to have to deal with that as long as you're in that sport. So
yeah,
it's just learning to deal with it. I feel like or to channel it the best way that you can.
Yeah,
and dude, I just remember back, I mean, I'm only 23, so I was in high school. It hasn't been that long. I could not deal with that stuff, dude. I let it eat at me and get to me, and I just couldn't deal with it. So it sounds like you're already far ahead of what most people are. I'm curious too, if you know, like,
right away.
Other guys on your team, they probably go through the same thing. If you have that many, and I'm curious, do they deal with it as well as you do, or do you feel like it gets to some of them a lot more? Can you tell on the court too?
I think it gets to maybe a couple of them.
Yeah.
But I think most of our team is real good.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, it goes back to it being a team, a family of sorts. It's like, maybe other people are dealing with it differently and maybe not as well, but that means they also have you, to lean on and, oh, look, he's handling that well. How are you doing that? Like, another reason for the, podcast like this is maybe someone else and wherever they're living watch this and like, even if it's not basketball, they're like, oh, okay. Like, at this age, you can handle these things with,
dude.
I don't know. You definitely carry yourself much older than how old you actually are. And that's very impressive. And I think that's going to go a long way for, your teammates now and as you grow and do college and as far as you want to go, I think that's going to be a huge thing, not only just for anything, life. I think that's very important, and that you're definitely, I wish I had the mental fortitude.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a word I don't use often. I was like, hopefully that tracks well. But I wish I had that kind of mental, I wasn't unstable, but that stability of like, just being able to kind of step back and see the bigger picture, because to an extent I could, I wanted to be, professional hockey player. Obviously I found different path in my life. Obviously I had cameras and stuff. So that was kind of at a crossroads when I was doing the juniors, trying out for that. It became too much, but finding a different path. But I wish I could have had that ability to take a step back and be like, okay, I'm 16 and a guy that's on the team for tryouts just hopped off the bench and went and fought a kid. And I'm like, huh? He's got full beard. I'm like this, like, maybe 170 pounds. I don't know. And that, it was just so much because I felt so little and everyone was so big. Now looking back at it, I'm like, they weren't that big. Like they were me right now.
Yep.
So it was too much too fast. And like I said before 5,000 times, I wish I would have been able to step back. Like, hey, it's get a trainer, have someone help you out. Like if you do get, the tryout and you get on the team, they're going to have people, coaches, trainers, you'll get there if you aren't already. So that ability to like see the bigger picture, be a little bit stronger in your mind. Like, I think that's going to go a long way. And I wish that could be taught to an extent. I mean, it can to an extent,
exactly what you're talking about.
But having that is so important. And I think that's going to rub off on a lot of your teammates if it hasn't already. And then obviously outside of sports in general. So I think that's awesome. So just give me some.
Definitely gratitude on that. Like I said, I saw that right away in him, that he had that ability to see the bigger picture and put himself behind that and have that perception, which is great. At your age, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's leadership stuff right there. So kudos to that. I think for me, like going into what Danny was saying about, get a trainer. Like for me, for a long time, I thought I was doing everything on my own. Like all the tidbits that I got from my coaches, all the extra help that I got and stuff like that. I guess, is there a point, did you ever think that you were doing it all by yourself and then you're like, I need help. I need help from somebody. Is there a point?
I think, up till 8th grade, I kind of did everything on my own.
Yeah.
I didn't lift till freshman year. And then I started getting a basketball trainer. Once quarantine hit, trained with him for like a year, 3 times a week. So, I think that escalated my game a lot too. But I think that was probably the main point for me, was right then. And then also just getting help, with lifting and stuff. I mean, I can't do that stuff on my own to start off with either. So getting help with that. And then all the little help with my coaches, coaches going into the gym with me when I go shoot and stuff, putting me through little drills and stuff on my own. So I'd say probably around my freshman year.
Yeah. And it just like going to strength through movement and kind of what we're all about is like everybody needs somebody, and nobody who got to the top on their own. And I think a lot of people shy away from getting help or going to an extra team camp or reaching out in general, have a problem with that. And it's not a pride thing. Like there's a strong personality out there, a strong personality type that makes a leader. But I think the best of the best leaders know, like, yeah, I learned that from that, learned that from that. And if I didn't go through all that, I wouldn't be this. Now I want to give back type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's as far as to do anything, like for you, for basketball and for any different aspect in life, you have to have a fire and a passion. You won't build that discipline to do that extra, put in that extra work if you don't have an absolute passion for what you're trying to do. Like you won't be able to put in that extra work. And I relate all this back to personal stuff because that's how I can relate to it the most, I guess, is thinking back about how like I dealt with stuff, because seeing how different you're dealing with stuff now.
It's the bigger picture. Like passion comes from the bigger picture. You see the bigger picture and what your ripple effect is going to have, not only on yourself, but for everybody else. You don't see it in the moment like, oh, I'm going to score 40 points this game, or I just scored 40 points this game. So many people are going to talk to me now. Like, you don't have that outlook. You have the bigger picture outlook of like, all right, that's the next step. Wow, I just busted through a ceiling. Okay, so what's the next step? You know, in having that's where the passion comes from to fulfill the bigger picture.
Yeah. And that's especially, dude, because I always thought, for me especially, I thought basketball was the end all be all. Like, up until I got to be like a sophomore, I was like, this is what I'm going to do, dude. Because I was pretty good at it, and I just was not putting in the extra work that needed to be put in, because I started figuring out, okay, maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to do. Like, hunting and like the outdoors and training and stuff started becoming like, okay, I'm starting to gravitate towards this. So that's something too. I mean, your passion and stuff can change as time goes on. You could get to the end of college and be like, oh, dude, I want to do something completely different. But as long as someone has that like drive and fire inside them for that, like, dude, there's no stopping you if you're willing to put in that extra work. But that passion has to be there in order to consistently put in that work. And dude, I'm sure you love the sport. You probably could be around it all day.
Yeah. What's your passion? What's your bigger picture? Have you thought about that?
Like just in life?
Yeah. Just with basketball pertaining to life and in general.
I think something that sticks with me a lot is knowing that my younger self had the dreams and the goals, and, you know, looking back, sometimes I just think to myself, I can't give up on that guy, on that kid. Knowing in like 6th grade, all I dreamed about was playing D1 basketball, shining up there and stuff. And so it's like, I want to keep working, make sure those goals happen and make sure I don't let that guy down.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious to see too, as you like get into college and as you keep going, how it progresses, because you see these like the best of the best, like, I've said, dude, that's their life. Like, that's everything. 24/7 is that specific thing. Is all they do. There's no compromises. That's like their life. If you want to become like the top.
Right. And it doesn't in the top of the pyramid, you look at guys like Tom Brady, Brock Purdy, those types of guys that have that passion and that innate desire to fulfill a goal or a dream instead of giving up on themselves like Kolton does. That's when you start to see the higher level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that special, that gift to see the bigger picture.
They're just waiting for that opportunity. And once they get it, they're going to go after it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel like a big thing too, though, like everyone, actually, this applies to everyone, is they get too stressed over if they start like changing what they want their goal to be. Like, if you say you wanted to be the best athlete ever, but then you start going towards something else, is not the end of the world, dude. Like, you don't have to. That's not how it works. If you start gravitating towards something else.
Kolton, that's where I see his strength. He's not the guy who says, I should have 10 D1 offers right now. I should have 10 D1 offers right now. This is me. I'm him. Whatever everybody says, I'd kill it. That drives me nuts, by the way. but people do that, and then they disappoint themselves because they set this expectation of who they think they are versus, I'm just waiting for an opportunity. If somebody gives me an opportunity, I'm blessed to have that opportunity, and I'm going to take it. I think that's one of the big, like, the perception change there is what takes you to the top. Because when you see those open doors, you don't shut them down.
Yeah. Dude, it's all about mindset too. There's some people, dude, I feel like this is good, that are never, ever going to be satisfied with where they're at. Always chasing more. And that's why it's hard for those guys like Tom Brady, who was his 2nd time retiring now, or announcing the retirement. It's so hard for those guys to stop because they're just always wanting to get better and become more.
Yeah.
So that's, I feel like it's a never ending game.
I think it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
I wrote this a long time ago, back in 2018. I was going through some individual stuff, but I wrote because I was always by the saying, it was never satisfied.
Yeah. Proud and never satisfied.
Never satisfied. I thought about that. And the way I used to think about that is like, I got to keep grinding and chasing, and it's never going to, like, if once I get that, it's not good enough. I need to get that. I need to get that. And to me, never satisfied can be somebody who takes everything for granted, right? Because they're never satisfied, or there's never satisfied. I just want to progress and do a little bit better. Never satisfied.
To me, dude,
live versus die.
This Christian Guzman, I don't know if I'm sure if everyone knows who he is for the most part. Alfleet, he created all that stuff. But anyways, his big saying that he coined was proud but never satisfied. And to me, I'm like, yeah, dude, like be happy with what you like. You have to be in the moment and be happy with what you've done. But it depends what you want to do with your life too. Because if you do get satisfied, you're going to stop there, and that's probably just where you're going to end up. And that's okay. That's what some people want to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But me personally, like my mindset, and I feel like a ton of athletes, like it's good, dude. You want to recognize in the moment, like, yeah, I've done good. Look how far I've got, but I still can go further, and I still like want to keep pushing myself. So I feel like, dude, that's when a lot of people, when they're older, dude, when people stop having a purpose in life and they're not chasing it, that's when people like start dying, dude. And they just don't have a purpose, dude. And they're just kind of floating through life.
So the big question, Kolton Mitchell, 8th grade, Kolton Mitchell, wanted to be a D1 level basketball player. Never satisfied. Proud, but never satisfied.
I love that.
Dude, you're a D1 basketball player. You're going to Idaho State. Did you set a new goal? Is there another
something else you're chasing?
Is there something else I'm chasing? Yeah. I mean, in college, I want to be the most successful I can. You know, I want to play. My dream is playing the tournament. I've always wanted to play in March Madness.
Yep.
You know, maybe make a nice little upset or something. That's always been my dream, to be able to play on that big stage. So right now, that's what I'll be chasing in college.
Yeah, awesome. Dude. And that's you. If you keep building that discipline and doing what you're doing, and you get in that college level, dude, your teammates are going to start getting that off of you. If they're below you, they're going to start coming up to your level because you're setting that expectation. So what Michael Jordan was super well known for, dude. His teammates hated him. And but why do you think they were so good, dude? Is because he raised the bar and they had to get to that bar.
Yep.
So, dude, yeah, if you keep going what you're going and keep building that discipline and the skills, dude, people will have to get to your level on your team. And that's how great teams are built. Obviously, they have a great coach too to have around you. But.
And I have no doubt in my mind that will happen because you are a leader. And being a leader as well, I led a lot of my teams to higher levels. You're hated. Like he said, you know, everybody hated Michael Jordan on his team, but they also loved him. Yeah. Love-hate relationship. You know, I got called practice hero more times than anybody I've ever seen in my life. Well, at least that I know because I'm in my own shoes, but practice hero was a huge thing for me. And I'm like, all right, cool. You be a practice hero too.
Be like, yep, get up to my level.
Let's go. Yeah, trying to step that up a little bit. So that's awesome. That's good. That's going to be huge. That's going to be one thing that I get to look forward to seeing in your career is bringing your team up and to what level. So I'm glad you're embracing that leadership role. That's awesome.
Yeah, dude, and that's something else we didn't even touch on. You get a lot of hate and stuff from the people in the stands, but when you become that good, dude, your own team and stuff is going to start coming at you because you've raised such a high bar that a lot of them aren't going to want to put in the work it takes to get to your level too.
Like Kolton Mitchell, dude, it's a real pain in the ass to try to have to score 40 points a game to try to get.
Dude, that's what you want though. You want to be that person that drives everyone to be better.
Not only that, exactly. And look at your ripple effect. Look at the freshmen now, like Pax Swiney, Jacob, Tyson, all those guys that are going to come up. You're setting a standard now for Lake City High School and them, and you and your team are setting that standard, right? They got to be like, oh my God, we got to keep this up. We got to keep this rolling. So, dude, you see the ripple effect.
Yeah, dude. And that's the potential, dude. The greatest players of all time. Obviously, you have talent for the sport or you wouldn't be where you're at right now. All those guys, I'm sure they all had talent, some of them less than others. But, what was I going to say? They all had that talent, dude, but they're the same as all of us. If you put in enough work, dude, you can reach that level. It doesn't matter, dude. If you have a little bit of talent and a whole lot of work, you can get there. So it's not like it's not unattainable. You can attain that stuff. You can get there. And you're setting that example too for kids that are there. It's level by level. Like they're looking up to you like, oh yeah, dude, I can get to him. And you're looking up to people like, dude, you can get there if you're willing to put in the work. And that's it.
I agree 100%. Everybody's got that potential going to strength through movement. inspiring others through your athletic ability to reach their highest potential. Because when they look at you, they see greatness. They see, wow, Kolton Mitchell's freaking awesome. I want to get to that level. And that's not a pressure you have to put on yourself, but it's got to be a pat on the back. Like, I'm helping somebody grow a little bit right now.
Yeah.
Get to a higher level and want more out of life, not less.
That's a good driver too, dude, is people are watching you and looking up to you. So
Absolutely.
It's a good thing too to help push yourself because you know.
Yeah. So looking back at your 8th grade self or the freshman or whatever right now, like, what is your biggest piece of advice in closing? What is your biggest piece of advice to give them in life, just in a roundabout way?
Yeah. I would say, work as hard as you can all the time, but enjoy it. Enjoy in the moment, because, everything's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Nothing, I don't really think there's many second chances in life. You only get opportunities so many times, and if you don't go after it, then you're not going to be as successful as you could be. You might still be a little successful, but you're never going to reach your full potential if you don't go after it all the time, even when you don't want to.
That's a good.
I agree with that.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that goes with everything. I think, you get all these different scenarios in your life, or these happenings, not only in just sports, but relationships, business opportunities, whatever it is. You get an opportunity to say yes or no. It's a pathway. It's a fork in the road. To embrace that and grow it in a healthy way, or to let it go. And you gotta be very conscious, alive, open mind, to see those things and not miss out on that opportunity. Not be distracted by outside things like social media and all those types of things.
A lot of stuff that can pull you off course.
Yep.
I think it's super important as well to not feel the pressure to always do what others want you to do as well.
Yeah.
If you don't have a passion for something, don't do it.
Yep.
Find something that you have a passion for.
Exactly.
Maybe that's not what everyone else wants it to be, but do what you want to do, not what other people want you to do.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's great. It's hard, dude. That's hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, because at that point you'll end up in the scenario that you're meant to end up in, who you are. You won't end up in a place where, like, if I was doing what I thought Tristan would want me to do, or my parents, or whatever it is, then I would end up in their scenario, not my scenario.
Yeah. That can be a struggle. I
huge.
struggled with that for a long time. That's why I went to college in the first place, because other people wanted me to. That's why I ended up dropping out at 2 colleges, because I was like, this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing, dude.
Yeah.
And then training. Yeah. The gym and training, business stuff is what I found out. This is what I'm supposed to do.
This is where I'm at. This is what I'm supposed to do.
So, yeah, dude, you got to do your own thing.
For
sure.
Well, right on, man. I think we're right at an hour. Dude, I appreciate you coming out here. I'm excited to watch you grow. I'm excited to see your journey and how you inspire others. It's inspiring me. You're doing a great job to see somebody as young as you embrace and see the big picture. It's awesome. Proud of you, dude.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on this. I appreciate it. It
Yeah,
was awesome.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Woo.